Good morning, students. Welcome again into the 12th Science Chemistry class. From the last lecture, we are learning the factors influencing SN1 and SN2 mechanism. Influencing means affecting. Factors affecting SN1 and SN2 mechanism. Now, in the first factor, that factor is the nature of the substrate. We learned that in case of SN1 mechanism, generally the tertiary alkyl halides favors the SN1 mechanism and the primary alkyl halide favors the SN2 mechanism. That we learn in the first factor, that is the nature of substrate. Now here is the second factor, nucleophilicity of the reagent. Now in the SN1 and SN2 mechanism of alkyl halides, the reagents are the nucleophiles, and that nucleophiles that is the OH minus ion. Now nucleophilicity of the reagent, sometimes the nucleophile may be different also apart from the OH minus ion. Now how the nucleophile that is stronger or weaker, how the nature of that nucleophile that affects the SN1 and SN2 mechanism. Now generally the stronger nucleophiles carried out the SN2 mechanism very fast. That means stronger nucleophile always get by the SN2 mechanism on that substrate. That means they attack and there is the SN2 mechanism will be there for the stronger nucleophile. And therefore the SN2 mechanism is favored by the stronger nucleophile, because there is the backside attack is there. But in case of SN1 mechanism, the nature of nucleophile, that is it may be stronger or it may be weaker, has no effect or no effect on that. That is the rate determining step. Because the rate determining step, that is the slow step in the SN1 mechanism is only, that is the breaking of the carbon and leaving group bond. That is, in that case only there is formation of carbocation as the intermediate. And in the next second fast step, there is the attack of nucleophile in the fast step. And fast step is not the rate determining step. Only slow step is the rate determining step. And in case of SN1 mechanism, formation of carbocation or carbocation intermediate is the rate determining step. So in case of SN1 mechanism, there is no any effect of the nature of that nucleophile, because the nucleophile attacks in the fast step. But in case of SN1 mechanism, the nucleophile, which is stronger nucleophile, in case of the SN2 mechanism, the stronger nucleophile always carried out the reaction fastly. So see here what is given, nucleophilicity of the reagent. You know the nucleophile. Nucleophile is the species which have the extra electron, which is the electron rich species. And they attack on the positively charged center. The nucleophiles, that is nucleus loving, always attack on the positively charged center. And they have the extra electrons in that lone pair of electron are present in the nucleophiles, or it may be negatively charged species nucleophiles are. Now see here, the nucleophile is a species that uses its electron pair, because there is the electron pair to the or at the nucleophile. So nucleophile is a species that uses its electron pair to form a bond with carbon. When nucleophile carbon, it uses its electron pair to form a bond with that carbon, because formation of one covalent bond requires two electron or electron pair. And therefore a nucleophile is a species that uses its electron pair to form a bond with the carbon. Nucleophilic character of any species, the nucleophilic character of that nucleophile or any species is expressed in its electron releasing tendency. How fastly that nucleophile release its electron towards the carbon atom, that tendency that determines the nucleophilicity of that nucleophile. That means the nucleophile which release the electrons more fastly are the stronger nucleophile, and the nucleophile which release the electron to the carbon slowly are the bigger nucleophiles. So, nucleophilic character of any species is expressed in its electron releasing tendency, which can be correlated to its strength. That means if it is stronger nucleophile or weaker nucleophile, that is related with its tendency to release the electron or electron releasing tendency. So the electron releasing tendency can be correlated to its strength, that means to the nucleophile's strength. And nucleophiles are called as the Lewis bases. We know that the nucleophiles, electron releasing groups, are called as the Lewis bases, and electron accepting groups are called as the Lewis bases. In the 11th standard we learn about that. But the nucleophile release the electron, so they are the Lewis bases. A more powerful nucleophile attacks the substrate faster. A more powerful nucleophile which release rapidly electrons, that are the more powerful nucleophiles. So a more powerful nucleophile attacks the substrate faster and favors SN2 mechanism. I already told you that the SN2 mechanism favors the stronger nucleophiles. So the stronger nucleophile are favored by the SN2 mechanism. A more powerful nucleophile attacks the substrate faster and favors the SN2 mechanism. Now we know that nucleophiles are electron releasing group and electrophiles are electron accepting group. But here in this SN1 and SN2 mechanism, there is the attack of nucleophile. So the more powerful nucleophile favors the SN2 mechanism, carried out the SN2 mechanism very fastly. But the rate of the SN1 mechanism is independent of the nature of nucleophile. I already told you about that. That is the mechanism, that is the rate of mechanism, SN1 mechanism is independent of the nature of the nucleophile. Why? Because in SN1 mechanism, the nucleophile attacks on the carbocation in the fast state, and this is not the rate determining step, and therefore the rate of the SN1 mechanism is independent on the nature of the nucleophile. It may be stronger or it may be weaker, that has no effect on the SN1 mechanism, because nucleophile attacks in a fast step in the SN1 mechanism. But in case of SN2 mechanism, the nucleophile attacks on the rate determining step from the back side. So there is the very good effect if the nucleophile is stronger, and then the rate of the SN2 mechanism increases in case of the stronger nucleophile. But in case of SN1 mechanism, the rate of the reaction is independent on the nature of the nucleophile. Now see again on the blackboard what is there. Now see, the rate of SN1 mechanism is independent of the nature of the nucleophile, because in SN1 mechanism, nucleophile does not attack in a slow rate determining step, but it attacks in the second fast step, and which is not the rate determining step. Now students, come to the third factor which influence the SN1 and SN2 mechanism, that is the C factor, solvent polarity. Now we know that in case of SN1 mechanism, there is formation of the carbocation, positively charged carbon is there, and due to that positively charged carbocation as the intermediate, the SN1 mechanism always favors the polar solvent. The nature, polarity of the solvent is always favored in the SN1 mechanism because there is the formation of carbocation, and also the nucleophile or negatively charged anion also requires the protic solvent for their, that is, attacks on that of the carbocation, and therefore the SN1 mechanism favors the polar protic solvent. But in case of SN2 mechanism, generally the rate of the SN2 mechanism decreases in the polar protic solvent. Now see here what is given. Third factor, solvent polarity. SN1 mechanism proceeds via formation of carbocation as a intermediate. A good ionizing solvent means polar solvent, stabilizes the ions. Always the polar solvent stabilizes the ions by solvation, because if the ion is positively charged, the polar solvent surrounds it in such a way that the negative pole of that solvent comes to the positively charged ion. And if the ion is negatively charged of that species, then the polar solvent surrounds that negative ion or anion from the, that is the its positive pole, and therefore the polar solvent always good solvate the ions. So a good ionizing solvent, that is the polar solvent, stabilizes the ions by solvation, and the solvation of carbocation is relatively poor. Therefore, it requires the more polar solvent. The solvation of carbocation, which is formed in the SN1 mechanism, is relatively poor, so it requires more polar solvent for its solvation. And the solvation of anion is particularly important because anions are solvated by the hydrogen bonding solvent. Generally, the anions are very good solvated by the hydrogen bonding solvent, that is the protic solvents, which are the polar solvents. And therefore, the solvation of anion is particularly important because anions are solvated by the hydrogen bonding solvent, that is the polar protic solvent. And therefore, the SN1 mechanism proceeds more rapidly in the polar protic solvent. Remember that SN1 mechanism is always favored the polar protic solvent, or SN1 mechanism proceeds fastly in the polar protic solvents. But in case of the, that is SN2 mechanism, polar protic solvent decreases the rate of SN2 mechanism. Polar protic solvent decreases the rate of SN2 mechanism. Why? Because why this happens? Let us learn why the polar protic solvent decreases the rate of, that is the SN2 mechanism. But first take student the screenshot and write down the notes in your notebook in a beautiful handwriting, and let us learn now how the SN2 mechanism decreases its rate in the polar protic solvents. Now again pay attention students on the blackboard. We learned that the SN1 mechanism favors the polar protic solvents, but the SN2 mechanism usually decreases its rate, or the SN2 reaction decreases their rates in the polar protic solvent. Now polar protic solvents usually decreases the rate of SN2 mechanism, because in the RDS, that is the rate determining step, which is the slow step of the SN2 mechanism, there are both, that is substrate as well as nucleophile are involved into that. Though nucleophiles are stabilized by the polar protic solvent, but in case of the rate determining step, that is the attacking of nucleophile is necessary into the SN2 mechanism. And if the nucleophile is it get stabilized by solvation, then what happen? It cannot attack in the rate determining step on that of the carbon, and therefore the polar protic solvent destabilizes that nucleophile, and due to that though it stabilizes that nucleophile, but it decreases its attacking capacity on that carbon. That means it deactivates that nucleophile polar protic solvent by stabilizing it or by solvating it, and therefore generally or usually the rate of the SN2 mechanism decreases in the polar protic solvent. Now see here, polar protic solvent usually decreases the rate of SN2 mechanism. In the RDS, that is the rate determining state of SN2 mechanism, both substrate and the nucleophile are involved, and a polar solvent definitely stabilizes the nucleophile in that case by solvating it, and it deactivates, and thus polar solvent deactivates that nucleophile. It cannot be attacked on that of the carbon, that means the nucleophile get deactivates by the polar protic solvent due to the solvation and stabilization of that nucleophile, and by stabilizing it, the polar protic solvent deactivates the nucleophile by stabilizing it, and hence the SN2 mechanism favors in the aprotic or non-polar solvent, that is the low polar solvent. Now hence the aprotic solvents or the solvent of low polarity will favors the SN2 mechanism. Now this is about the factors affecting the SN1 and SN2 mechanism, student. The first factor is the nature of the substrate. The second is the polarity of solvent we learn, and this is the third, and the second is the nature of the nucleophile we learn, or nucleophilicity of the nucleophile or reagent, that is the second factor. Now let us learn the next reaction, that is the elimination reaction, and in this case that elimination reaction is the dehydrohalogenation. The next reaction of the alkyl halide, that is the elimination reaction, or it is also called as the dehydrohalogenation. Now why it is called as the dehydrohalogenation? D means remove. Here hydrogen and halogen atoms get removed from that of the alkyl halide. So it is also called as the dehydrohalogenation. Why it is called as the elimination reaction? To eliminate out means to remove. Now in this elimination reaction, hydrogen and halogen atoms are removed from that alkyl halides. We are learning the chemical reaction of alkyl halides, and this is the next chemical reaction, that is the elimination reaction or dehydrohalogenation reaction. In this elimination reaction, hydrogen and halogen get removed from the alkyl halide, which is the substrate, and due to the removal of hydrogen and halogen on the adjacent carbon atom of the alkyl halide, there is formation of double bond between that two carbon, between the adjacent carbon. having the hydrogen and halogen atom. By removing them, they form the double bond between the two carbons and there is formation of alkene. That means from the alkyl halide, after the dehydrohalogenation or after the elimination reaction, there is formation of alkene, carbon-carbon double bond. Now, this reaction is also called as the alpha-beta elimination reaction. Why it is called as the alpha-beta elimination reaction? Because the halogen atom which is present on the alpha carbon get eliminated, as well as the hydrogen atom which is present on the beta carbon atom also get eliminated. So this reaction is also called as the alpha-beta elimination or 1,2 elimination. Now see here what is actually happen in this elimination reaction or dehydrohalogenation reaction of the alkyl halides. Now when alkyl halide having at least one beta hydrogen, that means the alkyl halide is always that alkyl halide which have the beta carbon, and on that beta carbon at least one beta hydrogen must be present. Then and then this reaction is carried out by the dehydrohalogenation, or it is the 1,2 or alpha beta elimination reaction. So when alkyl halide having at least one beta hydrogen is boiled with alcoholic solution of potassium hydroxide, that is the KOH. The first reaction with KOH we already learned, but that is the aqueous KOH. Into that we obtain the alcohol. But this is the reaction with that of the potassium hydroxide or KOH, that is alcoholic solution. Remember student, this is very important. If the reaction is carried out in the presence of aqueous KOH, there is formation of alcohol from the alkyl halide. When the reaction of alkyl halide is with the aqueous KOH, there is the formation of alcohol. But if the reaction of the alkyl halide is with the alcoholic KOH, then remember that there is the elimination reaction, elimination of hydrogen and halogen and formation of alkene in that case. And that reaction is called as the dehydrohalogenation or elimination reaction. So, when alkyl halide having at least one beta hydrogen is boiled with alcoholic solution of KOH, that is potassium hydroxide, but the alcoholic solution, it undergoes elimination of hydrogen atom from the beta carbon and halogen atom from the alpha carbon, resulting in the formation of alkene. See here, there is the product is the alkene, resulting in the formation of alkene is called as dehydrohalogenation. This reaction is called as the dehydrohalogenation. Now here general reaction is shown here. Now see, now this is the alkyl halide. This is the alpha carbon of the alkyl halide. This is the beta carbon. To that alpha carbon there is the halogen atom, and this beta carbon have the hydrogen atom. There may be hydrogen also or alkyl group. Now one hydrogen is required on the beta carbon. Now what happened? When this reaction is carried out into alcoholic KOH, or when it boiled with that of the alcoholic KOH, there it requires any base to extract this hydrogen atom. So when base extract this hydrogen atom by using its lone pair, what happened? This hydrogen remove as the proton or H plus ion by giving this bond to here between the carbon-carbon double bond. This bond comes here, there is again formation of carbon-carbon double bond. But carbon now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bonds will be there on this alpha carbon. So due to that, this halogen atom remove with the bond, that is X minus. Now this H give its bond to here. There is then the formation of carbon-carbon double bond. H plus get removed and then H plus reacts with this B minus and there is formation of Bn. Bond is formed by using this lone pair of that of the base. And this halogen remove with the lone that is the bond. That means it acquires the negative charge here. And what happened? As this hydrogen give here double bond, here is the C, double bond C. In this way, the alkyl is formed in this reaction. This is the generally I show you. We see the particular reaction later. Now here this reaction is called as the alpha beta elimination. This reaction is called as the alpha beta elimination. Why? Because the that is halogen from the alpha carbon. This is called the alpha beta elimination reaction. Alpha beta elimination reaction or 1,2 elimination reaction also. Because this is the carbon number 1 and this is the carbon number 2. This is carbon 2, this is carbon 1. As from the carbon 1 halogen get removed and from carbon 2 hydrogen get removed. So it is also called as the alpha beta elimination or 1,2 elimination. Because it involves the elimination of hydrogen from beta carbon and halogen from the alpha carbon. Now, how the particular reaction that takes place, let us learn. That is the particular example of this alpha beta elimination we learn now. But first you take the screenshot and write down the very important notes in your notebook, and now let us learn that is the particular reaction now. Now see students, we are taking now the particular reaction for the alpha beta elimination, that is the dehydrohalogenation reaction. Now in this particular reaction, the substrate that is the alkyl halide is such that it is the 2-bromobutane, that is the secondary butyl bromide. Into that 2 beta hydrogens of the different types are present. Now see, this is the example. Now this is the 2-bromobutane or secondary butyl bromide. Into that what happened? This is the alpha carbon to which the bromine is attached, and there are the 2 neighboring carbons which are the beta carbon. Suppose this is the beta 1 carbon, this is the beta 2 carbon. They are the different carbon because here this carbon have the 3 beta hydrogens and this carbon have only 2 beta hydrogens. If such case is there, then always that hydrogen is preferentially removed from that carbon which have the less number of hydrogen atom. That means here is the double bond, that is butyl 2Ne is the major product will be formed. Now this is the, now by giving the numbering here 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 2-bromobutane because in the straight chain there are the 4 carbon atoms, and on the second carbon by giving numbering from this side, this is the 2-bromobutane. This is the number 1, 2, 3 and 4. That is the IUPAC name of this compound is 2-bromobutane. But this is the secondary butyl bromide because the bromine is attached to such carbon which have 1 hydrogen atom. So generally it is the commonly secondary butyl bromide, and it is the IUPAC name of this, that is the 2-bromobutane. Now see student, if this 2-bromobutane is reacts with the alcoholic solution or boiled with the alcoholic solution of potassium hydroxide, what happens? Both of these hydrogen are removed one by one. Means in the first product, suppose the hydrogen of this B2 carbon is removed. When the hydrogen of this B2 carbon is removed, what happens? There are only 2 hydrogens, and here is the double bond because the hydrogen give here one and bromine remove in this. If this hydrogen give the here double bond, the bromine will remove here and double bond will here. Then what is the compound? By loss of this B2 hydrogen, see here, this CH3 is as it is. This CH3 and CH2 are as formed. That is, see here, CH3, CH2, CH, double bond CH2. Now the name of this alkene by giving numbering from this side, because double bond is near to that side, so it is 1, 2, 3, 4. On the first carbon there is the double bond, so it is the but1ene, but this is the minor product, because the hydrogen always lost from that carbon preferentially which has the less hydrogen atom. Now if this beta 1 hydrogen get lost, then what happen? This hydrogen give here double bond and this bromine get removed. So double bond will be here and the product is CH3. Now here only CH, one hydrogen get removed. CH3, CH, double bond, CH, bromine is removed and CH3. Now see, that is the loss of B1 hydrogen forms CH3, CH, double bond, CH, CH3. Now in this, by giving the numbering this side or this side, because double bond is same on the second carbon from both sides. So if we give the numbering as 1, 2, 3, 4, then it is the but2ene, and this is the major product, students. Now that is due to the Saint-Gibbs rule. In the 11th standard, we learned the Saint-Gibbs rule. What is that? Saint-Gibbs rule is in dehydrohalogenation reaction, the preferred product is that alkene. Alkenes are the product, but the preferred or major product is that alkene which has greater number of alkyl groups attached to the doubly bonded carbon atoms. Now see here, the doubly bonded carbon atoms are these two, and they have the, this is alkyl group and this is the second alkyl group. Two alkyl groups are there. But in this product, these are the doubly bonded carbon atoms, and there is only this one ethyl group as the alkyl group, and there is no alkyl group on the second carbon. As in this case, both carbon have one alkyl group. So this alkene having more, that is the two alkyl groups, is preferred or major product than the alkene which have only one alkyl group is the minor product. Now this is very important reaction, student. So what is the actual reaction? See there, this is very important, always asked into the examination. If there are two or more non-equivalent, if there are two or more non-equivalent beta hydrogen atoms, these are the non-equivalent beta hydrogen atoms, because non-equivalent means dissimilar. Here carbon have the 3 hydrogen, here carbon have the 2 hydrogen, so they are the non-equivalent. If there are two or more non-equivalent hydrogen atoms present in the alkyl halide, this is the alkyl halide, then this reaction gives a mixture of products. Two different products are formed, but1ene and but2ene. Mixture of products are formed, and thus when 2-bromobutane, that is the secondary butyl bromide, on heating with alcoholic KOH gives a mixture of but1ene and but2ene, these two products. So student, this is very important reaction, that is the elimination reaction, dehydrohalogenation reaction, or alpha beta elimination or alpha beta dehydrohalogenation. Very important in the that is the examination point of view of the board examination, as well as the, that is the entrance examination. The products are always asked. And so student, if you understand this reaction very well, and if you like it, you understand very well, then you must like and subscribe this video, so that the other student also get benefited or they have the advantage of this reaction. And again we learn the factors which influence the SN1 and SN2 reaction in this video. So you like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you student for watching it. Take the screenshot and write down the notes in a beautiful handwriting. This. Now see here, again I show the order of the stability of the more substituted alkenes. Now more substituted alkenes are the aldehyde. Now see this alkene, carbon-carbon double bond is the alkene. This carbon have two alkyl group. This carbon also have two alkyl group. That is more substituted alkene. So it is more stable, greater. Again, here this carbon have two alkyl group. This carbon have only one alkyl group. So it is somewhat less stable than this alkene. This is less substituted. Again, we have only two alkyl groups because this carbon have both hydrogen. So it is again still less stable. This have one alkyl group, is still less stable, and this have only one alkyl group, which is the least stable alkene. So student, the stability of the alkene are due to the more substituted alkene. More substituted alkenes are more stable. Now this is about this topic, student. Thank you.